My name is Michelle Zahn, and I work at Trillium Drop-In Center located in Woodbridge, Virginia.
My name is Robert Johnson. I also work at Trillium Drop-In Center. I'm a facilitator, and thanks to Trillium, I'm also a state certified peer support specialist.
I'm a senior facilitator, and I am also a certified peer support specialist. Trillium is a brick and mortar center located in Woodbridge that is specifically for people with mental health issues. And our mission is to provide a stigma-free, stress-free atmosphere for mental health consumers age 18 and over. And we're very careful about emotional and physical safety. And we have our rules that are designed to lend to that kind of atmosphere.
Very open. We work with people with bipolar disorder, such as myself, schizophrenia, depression, along with providing, we'll say, a stigma-free environment. We offer a safe place for support, a place where, like myself, I can come and be myself. I'm around people that are just like me, so therefore they're not judging me.
We provide supportive, recreational, and educational activities, and we have a whole calendar on our website, which is a really great website that has all kinds of information about us. And people are welcome to participate in the activities, or if they just want to sit and be, if they want to talk with someone else, basically it's very important to say that we're about reducing the isolation and alienation that happens sometimes when a person has mental illness and feels like they are the only one in the whole wide world, because they're not. No. We're funded through the state, which comes through the county for us. And we take private donations. All of our volunteers are people that have mental illness, and we are a private nonprofit. Cash donations, donations of food, and sometimes clothing that has to be approved by our director.
As my illness progressed, I hadn't reached a level of acceptance. There was nothing wrong with me because I had a wife, two beautiful boys. We lived in a townhouse. Each of us had our own car. I had a great job, and everything was perfect. Then the hospital visits started. Each time I got out of the hospital, take the medication for a while, then I feel better, so I'm good. My last hospital visit, though, was what they call a TDO, a temporary detention order. And basically what had happened was I'd gone full-blown manic. There was a suicide attempt, but kind of on the brighter side, I was attempting to call CSB to tell them that I had changed my mind. But I was so far gone that I guess what was up here wasn't really coming out through here. And they were smart enough and wise enough to pick it up. And they sent the police to come get me, which began my last hospital visit. During that stay, the detention order was for 5 days. And me being in and out of hospitals, I kind of knew the ins and outs, what they wanted to hear and how to act. But what I didn't know was they also had a recovery team of 7 different people outside of the doctor and the social worker. They were watching me. So at the end of 5 days, I was super smart because I've tricked everybody and I'm finna get released and I can go smoke my cigarettes and everybody will leave me alone. And the doctor said, no, you're not ready yet. So I kind of lost it and I ended up there another 7 days, which actually turned out to be very, very good because that's what I needed. Upon my release, I was homeless. wifeless, carless. So I kind of wandered around. About the first couple of nights, I found a church, and I slept on the bench there the first couple of nights. While in the hospital, they gave us these pamphlets of drop-in centers, and one that stuck out because it was in the Dale City area was Trillium Drop-In Center, where we're at now. It took me like 2 days to find it because, I don't know, I just couldn't find it. But when I did find it, the staff they were receptive of the fact that I was nowhere near acceptance, but they knew that this was a place I needed to be, and they welcomed me. There's a corner on the other side of the building. There's a pool table in that room. People play cards there. And most of the time, if there's nobody doing anything, then the room is empty. So that's where I felt safe, and I'd stay in my corner. People walk through the room and everything. As the consumers, I'd see them smiling, and in all honesty, for lack of a better way to put it, it used to piss me off because it's like, don't y'all get it? Something's wrong with us. The staff never pushed me. They'd walk past and say, hello, are you doing okay? But they just keep it moving. Nobody ever pushed me to do anything, to talk or to join in anything. They just let me be me. Eventually, you kind of get tired of seeing everybody else laugh, and it went from being pissed off to, how can I get that? I started casually talking to some of the staff members, one of the main ones being our director, Cynthia Dudley. And they let me know that it was okay to be me, and that, in all honesty, there wasn't anything wrong with me. And I started to learn that I am not bipolar with schizoaffective features. That's just something I have. I am still Robert Johnson. And they began to help me find Robert Johnson again. They, through various friends and connections they helped me find a tent, helped me connect with a campsite. They connected me with an organization that ran a job training program. It's a bakery class. Through that, I was able to actually get a part-time job. And after 18 months of patience with me, tolerance a little bit, but a lot of kindness and support, I was able to connect with the VA. I forgot I'm a veteran. And I went from being homeless to a home. During that time period, I did have some issues, and I lost that job I had, but they just kept supporting me. And eventually, one day, I was pulled aside and asked, how would you like to work here? And I was like, okay, well, sure. Because I figured they're nice people, and I have fun here. And what started as 10 to 12 hours a week has turned into multiple certificates, a state certification, a place of self-empowerment, an inner strength that I didn't an inner strength that I didn't know I had, a family support system that I know for a fact I couldn't do without. And that's what, in turn, for me personally, and I'd also like to say the rest of the staff, that's what we try to provide for everyone else that comes through these doors. That opportunity to find out who they are and to become who they are. They work for me, and as I've heard the director say, we work miracles every day.
I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at age 16, and I went through a lot of situations with that. I've experienced psychosis in my life 3 times in my life, which is something that takes a great deal to come back from, and I have done that work. When I had that when I was age 16 and also in my 20s. But I started college in, I almost don't want to say the year, but I don't have, I went to college and had a lot of fun, and also had my illness, and I was nicely asked to leave for a semester, which my mom encouraged me, or kind of informed me, that I would be working or maybe getting an apartment somewhere else. I wasn't staying at home. So I worked and then decided to go back to school. And so what I'm trying to say is that I've had the experience of finally finishing college, and it took a lot of perseverance to do that, because I had my illness in between, and it took me a total of 13 years. But that's one thing. But so I've had the opportunity to work, and I did get my degree in English, and I was working at a newspaper, and left that. I experienced a depression that lasted about 4 years, and I was seeing a therapist. I always saw a therapist and a psychiatrist for my meds, and this therapist told me about Little Jack Horner's Corner Bakery, which is a bakery program specifically for people with mental health issues, and it was Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening, and I would go there and bake things, and I was actually working again. So that started me, it's kind of slid me into starting to work again. And about that time, I had a friend who, it was about 2008, a friend that brought me to Trillium, and I would always sit up front, and I would only stay for about an hour. And emotional safety was everything to me, because I was a person that had been isolated at home, and not been around a lot of people, and just didn't want to experience anything nutty or anything like that, and I started to talk to the director, and she found out that I had a degree in English, that I liked to write, and she started asking me to help with things ever so slowly, like with looking over a grant for editing, or I got the opportunity to organize a fundraiser, and so I was doing the bakery program, and I was coming here doing that. And I have to say that the executive director, she would invite me to, she actually came to my house and got me out of my house, and would take me to, like, say, Panera. And I remember shaking because there were so many people, and she would take my hand and say it's okay, and she really got me out of my home. I have to and help me with the isolation, and so anyway. I got to the point where I remember I was talking to her, and I said, well, I'm going to put my application into Hallmark, because I'd had a job previously, a long time ago, where that seemed like a very good atmosphere. And she immediately said, oh no, you'll come work for us. And so I came to work for Trillium. And when I first worked for Trillium, I was very not sure of myself, and I needed a lot of bringing up and a lot of confidence building, which she worked with me all the time with that. And eventually in 2009, an opportunity came up to do a speaking program, and I went to a training, and when I came back, it turned out that they needed a coordinator for us to continue to get money for it. So I agreed to be coordinator, and I started being coordinator for this program for doing speaking in the community. And so eventually it's now turned into our own speaking program that we have, and I'm now a senior facilitator. And one of the greatest certifications that I've been able to achieve is being a certified peer specialist through the state of Virginia. We're certified with that, and being recognized for doing what I had been doing for years by the state. Trillium was involved with a study done by a professor from New York, and as part of that, my boss and I got asked to go to the United Nations, and we spoke at an NGO conference, and got to go to New York City and experience that. That was incredible. Yeah.
A little bit more about this lady. She didn't tell you. Not only myself, but there's a couple other staff members that, between Michelle and Cynthia, they've gotten us involved in advocating. Michelle and Cynthia have motivated myself and two other staff members to whereas they didn't push us. It was a lot of positive thoughts to whereas we actually participated in Hill Day. Michelle and Cynthia showed us how proud they were of us. That, well, I kind of stuck Michelle on this one. we were going to go to the Senate, so I guess I was kind of picked to do the conference calls, and I heard Michelle's voice, as you do. And she introduced herself, Michelle Zahn. So I hung up real quick. It's like, yep, she's got it. But she led us on our tour through the Senate, whereas we got to personally meet Delegate Anderson and Senator McPike. So the smile is wonderful, but her positive influences on a lot of us. Between her and Cynthia, they've propelled some of us to, go to places that we never even thought of. I mean, like I said, she had me speaking at the Senate. Cynthia actually put me in front of the Senate. So, I mean, this is a wonderful place, and between Michelle and Cynthia, a lot of us, and then not only us as our staff, there are members that come here and ask. Today, several calls. Is Michelle there? So, well, the CIT training. Okay, Michelle. They were originally doing it with another organization, and I was approached by Cynthia and Michelle. Would you consider doing public speaking? I'm like, well, I'll think about it. And once I saw some of the stuff that was out there, there was nothing coming from people that actually had the disability. So I got involved. My first actual CIT presentation was with Michelle. And we did for Prince William CIT, Crisis Intervention Team. So we spoke to Prince William County Police Department. And Michelle, because she had done it several times, she was very smooth, and did her introduction, and then it was my turn. And my main interaction with police was when I was homeless, so okay. So I had to stand up there and I introduced myself and I gave, my hobbies, talked about my family. And then the next thing it said was say something that you have in common with the police. And so I looked over towards Michelle and Cynthia, and then I looked back at them. I looked back at Michelle and Cynthia, and they're just nodding at me like, you got this. And then I remember joking with Cynthia, and I said, well, they've arrested me before, so I figured, hey, I'll throw that out there. I said, well, we have one thing in common. I'm here and y'all have arrested me before. And the room laughed, and Cynthia and Michelle laughed, which gave me confidence. The CIT program that Michelle helped me get involved in is a wonderful program that Trillium has turned into an even. When we went into it, it was wonderful already. It was nice already. But now the way they've structured it as far as what we're doing, it opens the way that we can speak more freely to the officers and give them a better understanding of what's actually happening when someone with mental illness is in crisis, and the compliments that we get. One of the classes that came here, it was really neat. They, for some, I don't know, wanted to talk to me outside. So I went outside where they were all gathered, and I think it's one of the best compliments that I've ever heard from them. The guy one of the officers looked at me, he said, you know, we finally get it. We've toured several installations today, but your installation, we get it. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, remember, you know, when you were a teenager, that one house in the neighborhood that everybody went to because they just felt safe and comfortable? I was like, yeah. He said, well, that's what Trillium is. He said, we get it. That's why everybody comes to you. So not only do the officers see it, you know, it's amazing. And that's a program that, like I said, I wouldn't have been involved in if it hadn't been for Cynthia and Michelle.
So Trillium will be celebrating its 10th anniversary at the end of September. When we opened 10 years ago, we'll be having a celebration party this year for it. Also, we participate in the Occoquan Crafts Festival. We're always on Commerce Street, and we're there to spread the word to the community what we do, and we always have art and jewelry made by people that come here and work here. Trillium has a YouTube channel, Trillium Drop-In Center, and we have a bunch of fabulous videos on there about the center, about schizophrenia, about bipolar, about depression, and a tour of Trillium. So if you want to see what Trillium looks like and you're in the big wide world, you can go on there. And some of the other videos that we've participated in the community.